Yang ji jimbo zodan nimi jang zonen munum jimbo nga gyata bakara targan zando shirmarto. Tumba tikje jan la ki sham tsar mechan rawar seringi jan kamsa jawar tukji shan la yilarma. Jigme Phuntsok Rinpoche sora de gongje topan pawar shinji lo, gongje topan pawar shinji lo, gongje topan pawar shinji lo.
Profound and subtle Dharma is rarely encountered in eons. Now we can hear and follow it. May we realize the Tathagata's meaning. To liberate sentient beings, please generate bodhicitta before today's teaching. Next, we will study the Sutra of Great Liberation. As I mentioned just now, my health is relatively normal. However, I hope this information is not spread everywhere again, leading people to perform divinations or life releases. As everyone knows, such actions make me even more unhappy. I hope there is no need to do these things deliberately. Everyone should study and contemplate well. This is very important. Which part are we going to discuss next? Previously, we already discussed that Manjusri Bodhisattva asking Buddha Sakyamuni if sentient beings create negative karma due to a confused and deluded mind, how can they know their negative karma has been purified? At that time, the Buddha spoke about what we discussed earlier. The best way to purify negative karma is similar to the method of a retreat, staying in a small room to practice. If someone, during their retreat, specifically teaches the meaning of confession, burns incense, and makes various offerings to invite the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas, confessing in their presence, especially during the process of confession, there should be harmony within the Sangha or among everyone. Also, during these 7 days and 7 nights, one should continuously recite the sutra 3 times a day, making offerings and confessing during the 6 periods of day and night. Yesterday, we covered this general content. Each of us certainly has various kinds of karmic obscurations. Some were created since beginningless time, and some were created by ourselves in this life. No matter what the case may be, if we confess sincerely before the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas, we can attain purification through such confession. But regarding this method of confession, actually many of us may already know the techniques. However, perhaps because our own karmic obscurations are heavy or our afflictions are strong, when we confess, we fail to apply the 4 opponent powers correctly. The actual negative karma in our mind stream is not truly purified. In the end, signs of success cannot appear either. This can happen. So next, the text teaches. We mentioned reciting the confession prayers that day, and also probably many people have not recited them. When we were teaching entering the way of the great vehicle, we requested everyone to pray to Guru Padmasambhava. The prayer, which is the source of all true realization, should also be recited, because whether teaching Tantra or these Mahayana teachings, the Dharma is very profound. In such cases, including the unity among Vajra brothers and sisters, in many aspects we might not necessarily be doing very well. Because of these reasons, various issues may arise, whether individually or collectively. So at that time, everyone was required to recite the Vajrasattva mantra. Everyone was asked to recite it. But perhaps many people did not take it seriously. They felt it was not a major concern. So regarding our confession, it is being discussed here now. Whether we are teaching, practicing, or listening to the Tantric Dharma, if we do not confess sincerely at times, the negative karma can be very serious. Today's text also offers relatively good methods of confession. Also, as mentioned, regarding the 6 periods of day and night, for instance, 6 periods during the day and 6 at night. If each period lasts 2 hours, then it covers 24 hours. It can be like this. Of course, as beings in the desire realm, we need sleep and rest. These are necessary. One should also recite the names of the Buddhas mentioned in the sutras. What exactly should be recited? The names of the Buddhas taught in the Buddhist sutras, the names of the Bodhisattvas, the names of the 12 divisions of teachings, and the names of the 3 jewels. Then below it discusses 18 kinds of thought after thought. Actually, thought after thought refers to every single moment of the mind, never forgetting and generating faith in every instant. This is the meaning. In Tibetan, this thought after thought is translated as a very sincere and genuine mind. It carries this meaning. It says here, if we go into retreat for 7 days or practice for 7 days, throughout the entire process we must be very diligent. It is not just about holding a 7-day Dharma assembly. Even if reciting for just 1 hour, sincerity of mind is vital. First is thought after thought without distraction. The mind should not wander, thinking of one thing this moment and another the next, reciting sutras while harboring anger or feeling jealousy. If it is like this, every thought is scattered, moment after moment in distraction. Next is thought after thought without error. Every thought should be correct. The mind should always remain on the Dharma you practice, including the 7-day Pratimoksha confession practice just mentioned. Whether in sequence or content, one must not be confused. When reciting, you cannot recite the wrong order, like doing the dedication before the refuge. This would not be effective. Then thought after thought without deviation. Focus consistently on the Dharma, the Buddha, and the Sangha. Do not recite with your mouth while your mind is surfing the internet, doing other tasks, or watching television. Then thought after thought progressing moment by moment. Try to make progress with every thought. In every moment and every hour there should be progress. Then thought after thought progressing daily. With each of these practices there should be daily progress. As the ancients also said, if you can renew yourself for 1 day, do so every day and even more thereafter. There is such a saying. What we are saying is, if there is no progress but regression in every thought and every day, regressing every hour, regressing every day, and getting worse year by year, then indeed your practice is particularly unsuccessful. Thought after thought generating faith. Every thought should be able to generate faith. Faith in the Guru, faith in the Buddha jewel, faith in the Dharma jewel, and faith in the Sangha jewel, generating faith in the Noble Eightfold Path and the Four Noble Truths. Thought after thought rejoicing. Moreover, during these 7 days, everyone should have a joyful mind instead of suffering, without constantly racking your brains in anguish. Reciting in a very sorrowful way is not the right approach. Thought after thought in sequence. In sequence means following the proper order for each practice. First take refuge, then generate bodhicitta, then begin reciting the liturgy or the names of the Buddhas, and finally perform the dedication of merit. Then thought after thought continuous. This means thoughts are uninterrupted. Tibetan Buddhism emphasizes this greatly, especially during Dharma gatherings. But now, many young people basically, for example, when reciting at a Dharma gathering, have a beginning but no end, or an end but no middle. They fail to complete the entire liturgy properly, even when we have class now regarding the beginning according to the principle, starting from Sambhara Sambhara, all the way until finishing the King of Aspiration prayers. This constitutes a complete dedication and a complete practice. While you are reciting the King of Aspiration prayers, you might suddenly go out to handle some business in the middle. In this case, the practice has no beginning or end. Continuity means each practice and session should be uninterrupted. Actually, some people do this very well. Others never complete anything properly. When creating negative karma, they are completely thorough. All the greed, anger, speech, and behavior are fully carried out, but when it comes to practicing, it is very difficult to complete. Thought after thought serious. In every part of the practice, be earnest and sincere, not frivolous or flippant. Do not just go through the motions. Thought after thought not departing. Never let your mind depart from the Guru and the 3 jewels, the content of the liturgy, or your actual practice. For example, if you are practicing Vajrasattva, you should always visualize Vajrasattva frequently. Visualize either your own obscurations or the aspirations of the deity or the suffering of sentient beings. Thought after thought contemplating wrongdoing. While we are confessing here, we should always contemplate the negative karma we can or cannot remember, reaching back to beginningless time. We should contemplate them in every single thought. Next are the 6 recollections we often mention, taught in The Letter to a Friend and many other texts. Thought after thought recollecting the Buddha. Visualize the Buddha frequently. Thought after thought recollecting the Dharma. Remember the Dharma frequently. Thought after thought recollecting the Sangha. Always remember the Sangha's qualities, their kindness and their power. Do not focus on the faults of the Sangha in every thought, thinking, this person is like this, that person is like that. Do not create negative karma by relying on the Sangha in this way. Thought after thought recollecting precepts. Never forget the precepts, whether pratimoksha vows, bodhisattva vows, or tantric vows. Thought after thought recollecting generosity. Generosity here mainly refers to making offerings and giving. Thought after thought recollecting deities. Here, deities mainly refers to the yidam, such as Manjusri Bodhisattva or Ksitigarbha Bodhisattva, or the blessings of Dharma protectors, not just celestial beings. So these, along with the 6 recollections, make 18 kinds of thought after thought in total. This is very important at all times. I hope that if you have faith, you will copy this list and post it somewhere. Whether you are attending a Dharma assembly, listening to teachings, or giving them the teachings, the reason many of us do not practice well is that many Dharma practices have become formalized and superficial. The Dharma has not merged with your mind at all. If the Dharma truly merges with the mind, it is impossible for our study to have no effect at all. The Dharma can definitely transform our mind stream. However, we have not properly cultivated the habit ourselves. The Dharma remains the Dharma, and the person remains the person. The Dharma has not merged with our own mind at all. In this situation, the Dharma certainly cannot fulfill its function. The text teaches here that as long as there is a relatively concrete result. Regarding practice, some have practiced for many years, done retreats for years, or recited countless mantras, yet their mind stream has not improved even a tiny bit. If it is even getting worse, the main reason, as emphasized by past great masters, is that the Dharma has not merged with the mind. This is truly important. Actually, the Dharma possesses this power. As I mentioned a couple of days ago, the Dharma has no owner. Anyone can obtain it if they are diligent and have faith. But if you lack these qualities, although the Dharma has no owner, you still cannot obtain it. Reciting in such a way, including the Sutra of Great Liberation, one should perform prostrations while reciting the sutra, chanting Buddha names and prostrating simultaneously. Thus, with utmost sincerity one confesses. One should have such a profoundly sincere mind, like the thought after thought we discussed, where every single thought is especially sincere. Confess in this way. From the first day, starting from the very first day of your retreat or group practice, until the 6th day, you should apply fragrant clay to the ground, bathe with fragrant water, burn various wonderful incenses, and make offerings to the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas with deep devotion. If a person confesses with such a sincere mind, it will shake the 10 directions and move heaven and earth. The entire 10 directions can be shaken. Here, shaking does not necessarily mean a literal earthquake, but all the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas of the 10 directions already know of your sincere confession and bestow blessings and the comfort of purified negative karma. At that time, I, together with the immeasurable, didn't the Buddha teach like this back then? The Buddha is here with everyone. The Buddha taught at that time, I, together with immeasurable Buddhas as numerous as Ganges sands, Buddhas as numberless as the sands of the Ganges River, and immeasurable bodhisattvas as numerous as Ganges sands. The character for river can be omitted. It is not in the Tibetan version. Some versions have already removed it. The character for river later on is not needed. At that time, Buddha Sakyamuni said, if you all sincerely confess in your own small room like this, I, along with immeasurable Buddhas and bodhisattvas, will follow your voice and enter into your dwelling. Actually, when holding Dharma gatherings and praying, it indeed plays a very significant role. If we recite like this in the Dharma hall, then all the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas, along with Buddha Sakyamuni and other enlightened beings, will follow the voice of our chant master and the recitation of the Sangha, entering the place of retreat or practice. As mentioned before, Chogyal Rinpoche said that although some gurus are not Buddhas, when they teach the Mahayana Dharma, All Buddhas and Bodhisattvas merge into their body to bestow blessings. We are also ordinary people. When holding Dharma assembly or doing a 7-day retreat, if you have a heart of exceptional sincerity to pray, invite and supplicate, then all the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas, including Buddha Sakyamuni, who personally promised this, will join with immeasurable enlightened beings to enter your room and bear witness to your practice. Continue like this for 7 days. Regarding these 7 days, we went from the 1st to the 6th and finally to the 7th day. 7 days should be considered a specific fixed number. At this time, one will definitely eliminate negative karma. After 7 days, a person's negative karma will be purified. So generally, when we hold Vajrasattva Dharma gatherings, we recite for 7 days, and on the final day we recite the Medicine Buddha Sutra. Generally, at our Larungar as well, some assembly lasts 2 7-day periods, others just 1. Many past great masters followed this as taught before. Chant 7, Buddha name, recitation 7, and medicine Buddha 7. I'm not entirely sure why it is 7 days, but it seems to be a very special pattern within the movements of heaven and earth. Other religions also use a week, which is a cycle of 7 days. For example, in the sutra taught to Nanda on entering the womb, the development is also based on 7-day units after 10 months, because every 7 days there are different changes to the child's body. The birth occurs after 10 months. Also, our bardo state lasts 49 days. It also follows this cycle of 7. So whether we are practicing or doing anything else, generally, I might go into retreat for 7 days or for 2 or 3 7-day periods. In ancient times, many great masters taught the Dharma for 7 days, practiced together for 7 days, or did retreats for 7 days. Other activities to benefit sentient beings often followed this fixed number of 7 days. We should be able to see this throughout history. So if you practice for 7 days, your negative karma will definitely be purified. The preceding was a method of retreat. At the same time, we now know how to practice. Later on it says, purifying negative karma without doubt. These extra words are not necessary, as they refer back to the preceding part in the Tibetan text. They might have been added later. So, how can one know ordinary beings have not united with the ultimate truth? The text says, if we confess in this way, how can an ordinary person know, since they have not realized the ultimate truth or united with it? How can ordinary beings know that their karmic obscurations are purified? One should take dream signs. If we observe through dream signs, we should be able to know if our negative karma has been purified. If one sees one dream, one inexpiable karma is eliminated. If you see one dream sign of purified negative karma, it indicates that among the 5 inexpiable karmas, one of these 5 inexpiable karmas can be purified. Seeing these 5 dreams, if we see the 5 dream signs of purification as explained below, then all 5 inexpiable karmas are purified. So below it teaches about 5 specific dreams. If we obtain purification through confession, there will be different dream signs. Of course, some treatises also discuss the nature of dreams. Individual dreams sometimes do not truly reveal anything. For instance, dreams from an imbalance of the 4 elements might be nightmares, but these are not very meaningful, so do not worry about them. It is just because of your physical condition. For example, if your blanket falls off at night, you might dream of falling into very cold water. Generally, these are dreams from imbalanced elements. There is nothing significant about them. There is also a type of dream called a previously seen dream. If you keep thinking about something during the day, you may dream about it repeatedly at night. What occupies the mind by day fills the dreams by night. This is also not accurate and is relatively false. Another type is virtuous and non-virtuous dreams, also called celestial dreams. This type is relatively accurate. The karma you created or events that have occurred may appear as virtuous or non-virtuous signs. There are also dreams sent by others to convey a message. Some of these are quite accurate, while others are not. Therefore, we should not blindly believe every dream, nor should we completely dismiss them all. When making decisions, do not rely on them entirely. Recall the story of Venerable Master Meng Tan, whom I might have mentioned before. It seems he indeed used dreams to confirm things throughout his life. When he first ordained, he did not even know the name of his monastery, but in a dream he was guided to that very place. Later he found a monastery there and ordained as he dreamt. He was originally from a military academy and knew nothing of Buddhism. He used to carry a gun daily with thoughts of killing. Later that gun was transformed into prayer beads. From ordaining to eventually entering prison, it seems several major dreams in his life guided his significant decisions. Of course, this might be a unique case for such special great masters. Generally speaking, for many people, great masters use dreams to guide their future lives. This indeed can happen. Next, if our practice is purified, there are 5 dreams. What is the first one like? That person in the night dreams of themselves wishing to cross a great river and walking upon a great bridge. One should know this person will surely obtain liberation. For the first dream, if a person at night dreams of crossing a great river via a great bridge spanning over it, this is a sign, because in our human life, certain obstacles are often represented by dreams of water or floods. If there is a bridge above the water and you successfully cross it, it indicates that person's negative karma is purified. That is the first dream. Now for the second. The person dreams of being bathed by others or dreams of celestial rain falling upon their body. In many of our practices, bathing is a very auspicious sign of purified negative karma or awakened wisdom. In the practices of Manjusri or Ksitigava Bodhisattva, washing or bathing is considered a very positive dream. One should know this person will surely obtain purification. This is the second dream. Regarding the third, some people dream of their body entering a great assembly of shramanas, joining a community of monastics or lay practitioners, or specifically a Sangha of monks and nuns, or entering stupas and Buddhist temples, seeing excellent great images and seeing bodhisattvas. The meaning in the Tibetan text is that if the person enters stupas and temples, they then see wonderful images of Buddhas and bodhisattvas. This refers to sacred Buddhist imagery. Upon entering a temple, seeing excellent great images means images that are especially magnificent. Actually, great images refers to Buddha statues. Even if you do not initially realize they are Buddha statues, or excellent great indicates statues adorned with the marks of a Buddha. In any case, the Tibetan version is that one enters a temple and sees images of Buddhas, bodhisattvas, and gurus. One should know this person has attained the correct gate. They have entered the gate of the true Dharma. The Tibetan text specifies true Dharma. This is the fourth dream. As for the fifth dream, sometimes this person dreams of themselves obtaining and eating fruits such as apples, pears, or eggplants. Is eggplant considered a fruit? Indeed, dreaming of eating fruits is a relatively auspicious sign. One should know this person will also obtain the fruit of reward. The Tibetan text clarifies fruit of reward as obtaining the fruit of merit, such as the merits of fortunate rebirths in human or celestial realms. They obtain the fruit of this merit if at night you dream of various fruits or flowers, or of others giving you empowerment or transmitting the Dharma, or seeing sunlight, rainbows, and many other auspicious signs, or meditative concentration. These are all dreams of purified karmic obscurations and successful practice. Some texts mention that during the Tang dynasty there was a monk named Sengding and another named Tanrong. They each had dreams of many very auspicious things. In particular, they dreamt of the 7 Buddhas. Eventually they met Buddha Sakyamuni and received his blessings and wisdom. Later they both received prophecies of their awakening. There are many such cases throughout history where many great masters receive various blessings from Buddhas and Bodhisattvas in their dreams. Some truly receive these blessings from the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas during the day. Recently I visited Yuki in Dawu. There I met a Lama named Huanuo, whom I had known for a long time. He was one of His Holiness Jigme Phuntsok's earliest disciples. He was not a famous master Khenpo, nor a Tolku, yet everyone said that as he approached his passing, his mind was filled with exceptional joy. One day he said, His Holiness Jigme Phuntsok has come to receive me. I have already seen him. Then while weeping he asked them to bring him his money. They placed the money in his hands. Then he spoke to His Holiness Jigme Phuntsok. Now my body is sick and I have grown old. You appear just as you did before, not aged at all. Seeing you today makes me so happy. I wish to make an offering. After a moment he said, everything is fine now. His Holiness Jigme Phuntsok has come to guide me. A short while later he passed away. So if one's faith is strong enough, whether in dreams or in waking visions, meaningful things will occur when it is time to depart this world. The image of that Lama often appears before my eyes. In our early days, the Larungar was not like it is now. With so many people today, it is impossible to know everyone. Back then, there were only a few hundred of us, often together. His feet made it difficult for him to walk, but his passing was very auspicious. Regarding our practice, if one practices deeply and purely with a pure mind, and the mind is also pure, then no matter what your status is, you will see results. What does this refer to? It refers to a specific method of confession. The Buddha continued to tell Manjusri Bodhisattva that if there are bhikshus, bhikshunis, or bodhisattvas, as well as pure upasakas and upasikas, pure faithful men and women here refers to laymen and laywomen. These faithful men and women, or virtuous men and women, including monastics such as Shramaneras and Shramaneris, these four groups of the Buddha's disciples, along with the novice monks and nuns, if they lose mindfulness and fall into confusion during their lives, perhaps by failing to rely on mindfulness and awareness, or failing to properly counteract their afflictions, thus losing their true mind and becoming confused, if the body transgresses in such a way, if they violate precepts, even the root precepts like the four major ones, killing, sexual misconduct, stealing or lying, whether they have transgressed many precepts or just individual ones in such cases. If one confesses like this and negative karma is not eliminated, it is impossible. If one follows the 7-day retreat method mentioned above, confessing in this manner through the Dharma gate of the Sutra of Great Liberation, then it is impossible for their negative karma not to be eliminated. One will surely eliminate all negative karma, except for those who do not confess with utmost sincerity. This excludes individuals who are half-hearted and fail to confess with earnest dedication. Some say this part is unnecessary, but it is present in the Tibetan text and should be included. The point is that with the method described, no matter which precepts the four groups of disciples have violated, there is an opportunity for purification. In this degenerate age, I feel that for everyone, whether monastics or lay people, it is very difficult not to transgress any precepts. This is true unless certain individuals possess exceptional past life connections and great merit, and their environment and personal cultivation are extraordinary in every aspect. Such people might remain unstained by defilements and stay pure until death. Generally speaking, in the degenerate age, and especially in this current era, adverse conditions and obstacles are extremely numerous. Favorable conditions are few and far between. Therefore, if you use this method to confess, you can also become purified. This is the teaching here. This is the Buddha instructing Manjusri Bodhisattva. Then Manjusri Bodhisattva began to ask the Buddha, "World-honored one, when practicing this Dharma, how many people should there be? To practice this Dharma, hold a Dharma assembly or do a retreat. Approximately how many people should attend?" He is asking this. Then the Buddha told Manjusri Bodhisattva, "From 1 person up to 20 people. Generally, our previous study groups also consisted of about 20 people. If there are too few people, one might become dull or fail to practice diligently, lacking a supportive basis for mindfulness and awareness. If there are too many people, there may be many afflictions and it becomes difficult to manage. Generally, a group of 1 to 20 people is quite suitable for practicing together. Of course, if everything is well managed, having more people may not be a major issue. The retinues of Buddhas and Bodhisattvas were also like this in the past. But when practicing this specific Dharma, the number of people is generally stipulated in this way. When practicing this Dharma, do not dwell on other sutras. This is meant for a very exclusive practice. I believe this instruction is primarily for beginners. For beginners, if you recite the Avatamsaka Sutra one moment and the Lotus Sutra the next, the mind becomes scattered. One should practice with single-pointed focus. When we hold certain Dharma assemblies in Han regions, no other recitations are allowed besides this one. This is also true in Tibetan area. When we practice Dzogchen, all other activities known as the 9 types of matters are cut off. The 9 types of motivations of body, speech and mind are all eliminated. One must practice this Dharma gate with a very focused mind. There are such cases. These are just different ways of teaching. In a broad sense, do not recite other texts while you are formally practicing. However, during breaks or when not in formal session, at other times, if you recite other sutras or your daily prayers, there will not be any major conflict. After confessing in this way, do not think of committing the acts again. This is what is truly called confession and the method of repentance. One should think, starting today, because I created so much negative karma before, it is now as if I have returned from death to life. It is like escaping from death. The karma I created previously was too frightening. I could no longer tolerate myself. But from now on, I have truly come back to life. Chan Buddhism also frequently teaches delusion in the previous thought is death, awakening in the next thought is birth. Regarding birth and death, a delusional thought can be called death. Everything before arose from delusion. Then in our subsequent thought, if I awaken today and realize the truth, then I begin to revive and live anew. Therefore, from this moment on, I shall uphold pure precepts. In fact, some people who were once very reckless and committed all kinds of evil acts, later relied on spiritual friends and encountered the Dharma, completely cutting off all that previous negative karma. Particularly in Tibetan area, during a certain period in the past, especially during the Cultural Revolution, many people created a great deal of negative karma. Some slandered the Dharma and Sangha, and some even destroyed sacred representations of the 3 jewels. Yet later, some felt profound remorse and immediately performed sincere confession, practicing the Sutra of Great Liberation and the 100-syllable mantra for life. If we possess such great diligence, then one should think, just as taught in the 4 opponent powers, from now on I will uphold pure precepts. From now on I will be diligent. From now on I will recite the Mahayana Vaipulya Sutras. This is how the person should recite. At that time they should recite with this mindset. How so? From this day forward I will uphold pure precepts. My mind is like a vajra, never to be destroyed. When a person makes such a resolution, then Vimalakirti and countless bodhisattvas may appear before them to bear witness. Furthermore, the great noble Samantabhadra Bodhisattva serves as the karmacharya to witness for them. The great noble Kashyapa also acts as their preceptor during their purification or in the process of their confession. By relying on previous aspirational power, Vimalakirti will bless you as well. He will think of you and grant blessings for your confession and purification. For those with relatively superior karmic capacity, they might even see these great beings in person. This is possible. If that does not happen, it can also occur within your dreams or meditative experiences. The text mentions Vimalakirti, Samantabhadra Bodhisattva, and Venerable Kashyapa. These great beings will support your confession by performing the karma ceremony, serving as preceptor, or bearing witness. The Buddha told Manjusri Bodhisattva, this is what is truly called the elimination of negative karma. If you confess sincerely, this elimination of negative karma can also be called liberation. One is already liberated from their negative karma. At the time of death, there is no need for fear at all. During one's lifetime, everything that needed to be confessed has been confessed well. This can be described as possessing pure precepts. Previously, due to one's own forgetfulness, much karma was created and precepts were broken. But through sincere later confession, one can be said to possess the precepts once again. It can also be called attaining stability. They have found their place of rest. Originally, they would have fallen with no hope remaining. Certainly, after passing away and closing one's eyes, they would only fall into the uninterrupted hell, the Avici Hell. However, because they confessed in this way way before death, through the blessing power of the Mahayana Vaipulya Sutras, liberation should truly be attained in this very life. On one hand, we feel that in this world, various frightening forms of negative karma are created, including the transgression of precepts. But on the other hand, we have encountered the three jewels, we have encountered the Mahayana Vaipulya Sutras, and we have encountered Buddha Sakyamuni. Therefore, we are still very fortunate amidst our misfortunes. We can think of it this way. As stated in the Sutra of the Bodhisattvas ornamental necklace, it also teaches that if one is of superior capacity, they may receive and uphold precepts before the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas. If one is of medium capacity, they may receive them before spiritual friends. If one is of inferior capacity and conditions are truly lacking, with no one available within 1,000 miles in the past, without modern equipment, this was very difficult. Under such circumstances, one may also receive precepts before images of the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas. Regarding receiving precepts before such sacred images, as explained in Ascertainment of the Three Types of Vows, strictly speaking, one should receive precepts before a person. Yet if it is truly impossible to find a spiritual friend, then receiving them before the three jewels representations is acceptable according to the profound view school of Nagarjuna Bodhisattva. There are valid reasons for doing so. At this point, the Buddha spoke again to Manjushri Bodhisattva. At that time, the world-honored one further addressed Manjusri. Once again, the world-honored one said to Manjusri Bodhisattva, if there are those who have committed the bhikshu's 4 grave transgressions, the bhikshuni's 8 grave transgressions, the probationary nun's 6 precepts, or the shramanera's 10 precepts, or the layperson's 3 refuges, 5 precepts, or 8 precepts, and those who violate the 10 virtues without having received precepts, regarding all these various precepts, even committing the 5 inexpiable karmas, or slandering the Mahayana Vaipulya teachings, excluding the Echantika, if they do not confess or disclose these acts, they will certainly fall into Avici Hell at the end of their lives. As just mentioned, for both monastics and lay people, if they do not properly, except the Ekantika. Why are the Ekantika excluded? For an Ekantika, confession may be very difficult. If these people do not disclose and confess, they will definitely fall into Avici Hell at the time of death. It is essential that we perform confession. It is truly important. If one fails to confess, despite being a Buddhist throughout their entire life, falling into Avici Hell in the end is a terrifying prospect. Manjusri Bodhisattva addressed the Buddha, World-honored one, why is it called Avici Hell? We only wish the Tathagata would explain its causes and conditions for all beings. What are the causes and conditions of Avici Hell? What is its shape and size? What of its suffering and happiness, though Avici likely has no happiness? In terms of receiving retribution, perhaps there is a slight reduction in time or intensity. Does the Tibetan text mention happiness? Is it there? The Tibetan text does not mention happiness. It describes how long one must experience the karmic ripening result. No mention of happiness, right? Correct, it mentions its size. As for the word happiness, it refers to suffering retribution or painful retribution. It seems Avici Hell truly contains very little happiness. There should be none at all. Perhaps the text has a typo. Let us look into this. It is better if it means no happiness. Then he asked, regarding the suffering experienced, how long does it last? How many eons? The Buddha then said to Manjusri Bodhisattva, excellent, excellent, you ask very well, and the significance of your question is even greater. Listen carefully, and everyone in the assembly contemplate this well. All of you must listen closely, listen closely. Everyone in this great assembly, you should all reflect deeply on the meaning of these words. I shall explain and distinguish its characteristics for you extensively. I can explain to you in great detail exactly what constitutes Avici Hell. Below, Avici Hell is analyzed from several different aspects. These points are all relatively easy to understand. There is a text called the Sutra on the Ocean-like Samadhi of Visualizing the Buddha. The explanations found there are very similar in many ways. Only the style of expression, whether detailed or concise, differs slightly. Others, including the translations from that period, are also quite consistent. In various other Buddhist sutras in the Han regions, the descriptions of Avici Hell are translated very similarly. First of all, what does the syllable A mean here? It means without or not. It is a negative particle. Vici means interval. So Avici means without interval or no gap. There is no interval of happiness whatsoever. It is without interval. According to some of our texts, it refers to suffering and unbearable suffering. In Tibetan, it is name, meaning suffering beyond endurance, which is also called without interval or Avici Hell. The second aspect is that A also means not. Vici means to cover, thus it means unable to be covered. When experiencing this suffering, unlike other situations where one might find some protection or cover, here there is no way. One must experience it directly. There is yet another meaning. A means without. Vici means to save. So it means cannot be saved. There is no recourse. No one can save you, not even the Buddha. When the karmic power of sentient beings manifests, the Buddha's blessing is also weak. There is no other way. Then A means without. Vici means immovable. It carries a sense of being fixed. It is without any wavering. It cannot be shifted. This means that for this kind of suffering, no one can do anything to directly alleviate it. One dies and revives again and again without interruption. The meaning is that no one can change this cycle. Then A means extremely hot. Vici means extremely agonizing. It is extremely scorching and painful. A means no leisure, and Vici means not abiding. No leisure, not abiding. There is not a single moment of rest, not even a split second of leisure time in the reviving hell and the black line. Hell, at least when the hell guardians depart, there may be a slight sense of coolness or relief. But in Avici Hell, day and night continue without any interval. Thus it is named Avici Hell. Also, A means great fire. Vici means extremely hot. Because fierce fire enters the mind, it is called Avici Hell. So when these fierce fires enter your very mind, this is also called Avici Hell. When we study the Dharma Sutra or the Sutra on the Right Mindfulness of Dharma, we see that descriptions in many sutras are indeed very numerous. If we are not careful, we can fall into such an Avici Hell by committing the 5 inexpiable karmas or slandering the Dharma. One must take the opportunity while possessing a human body and having this chance to confess well. Otherwise, we see in history that some people simply, they use all sorts of rhetoric. I have read in the continued biographies of eminent monks about Emperor Wu of the Northern Zhou dynasty. This would have been during the Northern and Southern dynasties. In the Han regions, we had the 3 Wus and Wenzong persecutions. The emperor of the Northern Zhou who suppressed Buddhism spoke of his actions very lightly at the time. Claiming it was for the happiness of the people, he said, "I do not mind descending into Avici Hell." The slogan he used back then seemed intended to appeal to the common people. He claimed it was for the public good, as during wartime monastics might have been seen as a burden. Many people had become monastics instead of farming. Because of this, there were perhaps not enough workers. In a certain sense, he might have thought he was saving the people through industry and agriculture, though industry was not very developed at that time. However, as with any political action, there are always underlying motivations behind it. Ultimately, in his own words, monastics were seen as an obstacle to society in many respects. With Confucianism as the priority, Buddhism had to be eliminated. In a very short time, over 40,000 monasteries were completely demolished. Millions of monastics were forcibly returned to lay life. Later, I do not know for certain if he fell into hell, but he was very young. At 35 years of age, he suddenly died of illness while on a journey, and his end was truly terrible. Sometimes when people have power and status, or when they feel capable, they might shout slogans such as, "It is no problem, let me descend into hell. None of you need to descend into hell. I am doing this to save society. I am doing this for a greater cause. I will destroy Buddhist temples and expel monastics, or I will do this and that." Especially for people who do not believe in karma, what they say verbally sounds very noble, but in reality, before the law of karma, perhaps no one can escape. Regarding Avici Hell, in our human world, of course, there are some individuals, including some scholars, who might feel regarding hell, hungry ghosts, or heaven, they are somewhat averse to these and do not really believe. Actually, they have no real reason for their disbelief. They lack correct scientific evidence. Hell does not exist. Heaven and hungry ghosts do not exist. They cannot find any evidence for such claims. Their main argument is simply, I do not really believe it. But there are actually many things that we might not believe. Farmers might not believe in the details of the moon. Many of their doubts actually stem from the fact they have not researched deeply. Because of this, regarding hell and these slightly deeper principles, some people might not understand them very well. Of course, regarding the Buddhist sutras, as we have mentioned before, it is not like when we teach the Uttaratantra Shastra, where we teach and analyze layer by layer. It is not like that. In the Buddhist sutras, the Buddha answered according to different questions. So one moment he taught about hell, then about the three jewels, and then about the profound, definitive meaning of the Dharma. But this was based on the specific situation and the varying conditions of the disciples present. Thus, different contents were brought before the Buddha. Sometimes during a single lecture, we provide answers according to the questions of different people. The content might include the Sutrayana or Tantrayana, as well as other worldly knowledge. The scope can be quite broad. That is the reason. Some people wonder why a Buddhist sutra teaches about hell one moment and heaven the next, or profound emptiness. Why is the span of topics so large? The main reason is that the listeners are different. Why are shastras or treatises composed? Treatises are based on what is taught in the Buddhist sutras, organized in a sequential order. They present profound ideas in accessible ways. This is what we call a treatise. The sutras are not like that. Their sequence and structure do not follow such rigid rules. Many events occurred on the spot, and the arhats present remembered them all. Later, they used their dharani of not forgetting to record them in writing. That is how this phenomenon came to be. We will conclude our general introduction here for today.
Kirgana jirano chupai, chupun solen droa droa
Bandangara Badna Sodargye Bandangara Badna Sodargye Bandangara Badna Sodargye